That means I didn't forgive it. Am I using it wrong? I don't think Britain's using it wrong. I think we blame the British for all the faggots because they're not using it wrong. Canada has the most open border policy in the world. They built a wall with Mexico. They're like, we don't even speak your fucking language. This is how it works, okay? Forgiveness, I learned this from the Jews. So somebody compelled you to cast the stone. I understand. I didn't know. I've been a bouncer most of my working life. At any time, they could have come up to me and be like, have you seen this girl? Instead, we got homos and fucking retards taking over the entire planet because via Charles de Gaulle, Canada doesn't believe we get a bicentennial. I mean, patriotic enough, but can one not sympathize? Regardless of what business it is of theirs, declare independence, put a foreign monarch on the money. We really need Canada's approval. 90% of Canada population lives within 10 miles of our northern border. What that means for political purposes beyond that 10-mile margin is Russia. The Nazis come from Germany. Why? The fatherland. The whore of Babylon. It's a bearded lady on his back taking a dive on our behalf. And why? Why should they have such influence via Germany? It's a tradition that stems from the Black Forest. And the only reason it's with us to this day, Islam recognizes no distinction between church and state and is therefore neither. Protestants, you got a lot of nerve saying the Celtic cross is a terrorist symbol. How dare they fight back without permission? We Krampused our way in fair and square. Washington was accused of something, so your excuse for the ineptitude, don't act like I wouldn't do it, like I have to do it in order to acquire your services. I'm not joining the secular republic of women and children. For the sake of the Constitution, all enemies, foreign and domestic, but let's not get into that just yet. For the sake of the children of the land, I am not in peak physical form, but for charity, paid for in silver, I will throw the King of Canada, His Imperial Lordship, the King of the United Commonwealth of South Canada here, throw his narrow, hairless ass off Niagara, right over the falls, live for the children. Greek rules. Weight class has never been a consideration before. I can't promise the crowd 10 rounds. I can promise it won't take 3. I mean, you're deadbeats. That's the problem. This question of whether or not, like, we need proof. This is Islam. This is fascism. This is heresy. The Bible is the perfect word of God. It is man who is flawed. It is perfect as it applies to you, to your life. So I am forced to reconcile the Constitution and reality. Paul was a Roman. He was blind, and then he accepted Christ and could see. And he blamed the Jews. Okay, it must have been the Jews' fault. Like, they abolished the Pharisees. The Pharisees must not have known about the Vikings. Yeah, no, I know. The law is kosher. Okay. The Jews hated the Magi. We were fortunate enough in the West to have our first pontificate from the New World. It would be an opportune time to act like we're going to be part of the New World Order, the thinker, if that's allowed. I'm not a spy. This is messed up. Studying human intelligence, and you can just baptize me behind my back. I'm working at the door for years, like various times. Act like you can't find me. Meanwhile, the Policemen's Union of America, the other political union, thinks they can accuse me of false witness, false prophecy, all this stuff, without a word to my face. Warrant, maybe. Probable cause, maybe. Religious assertion? Sneaking around, selling people out. My protection was as a victim of child abuse. I had no way of knowing until it ran out, allegedly. Conveniently, just in time for the election. I never knew I had it. I would never have needed it were it not for my protection. So, somebody's conducting a human sacrifice racket under our flag. Dirty old rag they use to hide their excuses. Those CDC, Centers for Disease Control, don't act offended. They didn't even bother to try and be sneaky. Disease control. There's an English word and another English word. You speak English, have turned our currency into a biological weapon backed in child molestation. It's offensive to God. You gonna put that on Jackson? And goddamn one of you ever had the Lord's work in you, like a Jackson. Franklin went to France to call a parley in the French and Indian War just long enough to overthrow the tyrannical foreign dictatorship, the other one. And then he got so fat he contracted terminal gout, came back, spent his remaining days jeering at the British for the amusement of the rabble, telling me to sign in now. Sign in now. I can't even find the link now. You guys, born yesterday was a joke. It's not a requirement. It's not a campaign platform. I know for a fact that Langley is not asserting a hand. They wouldn't. But no matter how evil you think somebody is, like, it's obvious to anyone in a position of perspective, nobody could possibly be this fucking stupid without considerable effort, Langley. You can't afford 2 man hours. One guy get a janitor, be like, hey, see what Carlos in mailroom's up to. If it was important, Homeland would have called. Ring, ring, hello. Watch this. My objective is to make the CIA whole. We don't need to be affiliated. Air Force is neck deep in the international child white slavery sex trafficking racket, acting like the Army and the Navy sell drugs. You got a source for that? Now that I found out about it. Langley, is this your fucking kid or not? About to fucking kill him. Yeah, the Army and the Navy have not had faggots following me around for the past 20 years. This isn't freedom. This isn't liberty. This isn't our choice. We're under attack. Letting the Eternal Jericho commission our officers. There's a cross purposes, some hierarchies. appoint weaker commanders than others. I'm not saying it's all their fault. I'm just saying it's not my fault. And there's no amount of gold in the world can protect a sucker from himself. Idiot swine think they got a thin blue line code of silence that you don't even have your own comms. You sold them. Money! You in on this, Central? You gotta be smoking more than you're selling. My objective is to consecrate the soil, to go where the cowards don't want to carry the cross for Central. Having washed myself in just cause long enough to break ground on a project, and Harvard's buying. Don't look at Harvard and act like you're talking about a couple mil. Cambridge Analytica, the Porky Pig commie groupthink hive mind thought that was England. Boston Marathon bombing. Somebody got to the bottom of it and moved a little money around. Thin blue line, we all got each other's backs, right? Everybody get their cut. Eternal Jericho, milking us for everything we're worth. And then some, everything our children are worth. How many generations of little blonde kids is Turkey gonna back us for? You see, pigs, rich people still have money because not everyone they know works a 9 to 5. Your children's lives are our 9 to 5s. No, they ain't. There's no excuse for our communications infrastructure to be in competition to appear as dumb or dumber than Gandhi. There has to be a limit to what a human being will do to survive, let alone make a buck. You're not going to fuck my flock on my behalf and expect me to flip. The assertion of vendetta is reliant upon the victim being aware that he was violated, not lied to by some quack in a lab coat. Your whole concept of psychology is founded upon a child molester. And, you know, I don't know if it's true that the cops have an upper, like an IQ glass ceiling. Like they're not allowed to hire anybody with an IQ above, what is it, 100? Just saying the combined IQ of the institution does not exceed 80. Don't act like the blonde kids are obliged to join your side and talk about a thin blue line as if you're born that way. Prosperity does not come from trees and kids. That's the Turk telling you that. In America, a social worker can be laying on his back with his arms and legs spread, unarmed, and still get shot by the swine, Dublin. What excuse you have? Act like the Garda can't even sing your songs. I don't want any troubles. I want to solve them. Gandhi was not a Hindu. Presto. We live in an age of communication. The internet is an epoch in human understanding on the order of written language itself. There's no excuse for allowing this to continue. I've never been outside the United States. I've never been to Ireland. Christian enough for the likes of you. The prods want South Africa, or it's not a religion. Stand around and watch these people's kids pay the price, act like, oh, well, there's nothing we can do. You're on the wrong continent. You Norman faggots. The zeitgeist is that if you're not rich, you're either a Nazi or a faggot, so you have to join the cops. I would say, correct me if I'm wrong, but you're not allowed. That's the new owner's job. I want to go where the cowards won't follow for a while. Establish credentials. I have catching up to do. Find a wife. have some kids, build my school, and then I don't know, it'll be a little more believable that you expect something of me after that. Once you're no longer merely a foreign, tyrannical, deadbeat empire. What happened to Prince Charles, Trudeau? You taking responsibility for the empire of swine? Who's signing your checks? What's in your wallet? Who's your daddy? Crack has been around since the late 70s. It didn't get into full swing. They didn't start delivering it in bulk to the ghetto until about 92. Remember, it's got to be the shoes. Kids are killing each other over their expensive Nikes. Those are made in sweatshops. Those are bought with crack. Oh, no. My campaign fund! What good is it doing you now, Washington? Basically just fueling this monster. I know everything about how you're getting ripped off. How you're just letting them do it, acting like you just blame somebody. I mean, it ain't me. It happened, but not while I was there. No taxation without representation. You either investigate or you're getting raped. I'm gonna send an army of Canadian zombie faggots to come fuck you, Washington. Ready, Air Force?